Hi everybody, welcome to Sunya IAS. Welcome to the mains article discussion. The topic for discussion for today is air pollution in Delhi, and we'll see it holistically from the mains perspective. That what is the context behind it? What is the data related to it? What are the causes that every year Delhi faces the issue of worsening air quality? Okay. And then very important for us to understand is what are the current measures which the government is taking, and secondly what can be other measures so that we are able to tackle this problem. Okay, so when I begin this topic, again the context should be clear to you that Delhi's worsening air quality or the air pollution in Delhi, and here also if I talk about PM 2.5, and if I again compare the major, let's say, metro or the capital cities in India. So out of those 8 cities which already had the worsening air quality, so Delhi has the highest concentration of PM 2.5 amongst all those 8 highly polluting cities. Okay, then this is as per a recent report. So the context is very clear. Okay, that we have high concentrations of PM 2.5 and PM 10 in Delhi, number one. Second, the air quality index, and again I'll show you some other facts related to it, often in many parts of Delhi surpassed the severe or the emergency category, 400, in some cases 500, 600, in many times in November and also in December. Okay, so agar hum baat kare, so this shows to us that yes, this has become a serious problem. Okay, so that is one. And again it is said that the air quality, worsening air quality, is directly related to mortality. Okay, that the people in the metro cities, if they ingest or inhale a lot of this air, their average life expectancy is going to decrease. तो ये चीज है, this is one of the context. And then again इसको substantiate करने के लिए, to substantiate it, we will see some important data as well. Okay, that number one, Delhi became the most polluted city. Okay, followed by Lahore in Pakistan. So the air quality of Delhi was really polluted. Okay, when we talk about the facts here, ठीक है, अगर हम average AQI means air quality index, if we see that, so this was 287, followed by Lahore. And ये बहुत पुराना data नहीं है. This data is as recent as the data of 17th November 2023. So it was the most polluted city. Okay, so this again not just is a national problem, but again we are making global headlines for something which ideally should not have happened, right? Then IQ report carries out this world air quality report. Okay, in this world air quality report we again see that Delhi having very high both PM 2.5 and PM 10 levels. In fact, ये report quantify भी करती है कि इंडिया में we have, especially in Delhi, okay, that there is almost very high levels of PM 2.5, right? तो पहली बात तो even if you do not remember this fact, that is not a problem. Okay, so you have around let's say high levels, आप इसको around 100 भी मान सकते हैं, of PM 2.5. number one. Second, the air quality already index is worsening. Average is around 287, but it can go even up to 400 and increasing. Okay, then suffer system of air quality and weather forecasting and research again and again has highlighted the high levels of pollution in Delhi. और देखिए, you don't have to remember all of them at once. In the exam, अगर आप मेंस का आंसर लिखेंगे, it is very good to substantiate. So perhaps आप introduction में इनमें से कोई भी fact use कर सकते हैं to substantiate your answer. Okay, so that is one. So yes, I was talking about suffer. Ab suffer, what did suffer tell you? That the air quality had worsened very much in November 2023, and it even breached the air quality index of 400, 500. In fact, if I compare it to the modern metro cities in New York, etc., if their quality AQI moves beyond 50, 75, it is considered an emergency. और हमारे यहाँ cases में 400, 500, 600 in many different parts of Delhi. So this becomes a serious case of concern. Okay. Then stubble burning, again as per suffer, the contribution of stubble burning, and again this is one of the causes which again increases the PM 2.5 levels, is around 25%. ठीक है, सफर के डेटा के हिसाब से the contribution of stubble burning is 2.5%. And again in Punjab and Haryana, just before the next sowing season, what happens that the farmers find it more convenient to burn off जो भी residue हैं, okay, and that leads to a lot of, let's say, smoke, a lot of PM particles, जो कि फिर the winds blowing in, जो भी north west वाले winds हैं, which blow from Punjab and Haryana, and they bring this dust, smoke, all these parts to Delhi. ठीक है, अब ये जी चीज है, stubble burning is also a separate topic in itself, but very, let's say in very brief words if I have to tell you कि stubble burning का जो main reason है that from one season to the other the farmers of course they are short on time, and then managing the stubble requires money in the sense आपके पास एक मैन पावर होनी चाहिए, आप उसको हटाइए, आप बर्न ऑफ ना करिए, राइट. सेकेंड, बिकॉज ऑफ लैक ऑफ रेन्यूमरेटिव ऑल्टरनेटिव्स, जैसे कि अगर मान लीजिए स्टबल बर्निंग या स्टबल, इफ वी आर एबल टू इंसेंटिवाइज द फार्मर कि आप इसको किसी और तरह से यूज कर सकते हैं, आप मोनेटाइज कर सकते हैं, सो दे विल हैव अ वैल्यू. नाउ अभी क्या है, सीजन वन, द मोमेंट सीजन वन एंड्स एंड अगेन द सीजन टू हैज टू स्टार्ट, देयर इज अ वेरी शॉर्ट स्पैन ऑफ टाइम, है ना. तो उसमें उनके लिए सबसे कन्वीनियंट, वेरी फास्ट मेथड इज टू जस्ट बर्न इट ऑफ. दैट इज वाई a lot of interventions are also being planned, which I will also discuss in the second part of this, let's say, topic. Okay, तो stubble burning for now अभी हम जानेंगे कि that contribution is 25%. Second, suffer के हिसाब से many times during November the AQI surpassed 400, that is very high, indicates very high levels of pollution. Then even in the World Air Quality Report we are featuring in the very, let's say, most polluted cities, and already within India also in the, let's say, 8 most polluting cities, Delhi is the most polluting one. ठीक है, so these are some of the facts, and average AQI is around 287. okay, so you can firstly understand the severity of the problem and also the context of the problem. Delhi being the national capital, Delhi getting a lot of business delegates, a lot of different diplomats, a lot of embassies are being set up here, all that part, ठीक है, including the parliament, and again a lot of people migrate from other rural parts, come to Delhi, live here. तो आप सोचिए, such a big population directly faces a health risk and also an environmental risk. Keeping that in mind, okay, let us see what are the causes, okay, about this. अब now, since many of you have been consistently following our mains article discussion initiatives, we always tell you कि जो भी चीज है आप उसको स्ट्रक्चर करिए, इंस्टेड ऑफ मियरली राइटिंग डाउन 1 2 3 4 जो भी कॉजेज हैं. कॉजेज के लिए सबसे आसान तरीके से आप क्या सोच सकते हैं, ओके, सम कॉजेज विल बी मैन मेड, ओके, एंथ्रोपोजेनिक, सम कॉजेज विल बी नेचुरल इन नेचर. इफ यू इवन वांट टू सेग्रीगेट, आप उसको भी ज्योग्राफिक कॉजेज अलग कर सकते हैं, मे बी सम एनवायरमेंटल कॉजेज और एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव रीजंस एटसेट्रा. तो दैट इज, always remember, try to structure your answers as much as possible. Okay, so here we'll see anthropogenic causes number one, which means the man-made causes, right? So one of the obvious things is there is a lot of industrial pollution. ठीक है, अब industrial pollution में you can think about a lot of industries, thermal power plants, which release a lot of pollutants. एक और चीज है, a lot of these industries are not having the most modern methods, right? तो they can be old. If they are old, they are even more polluting, but still, because of a lot of industries being set up, this is a major cause. Number one, stubble burning हमने देखा, और अब से हम याद रखेंगे from now that the contribution of stubble burning is almost 1/4, around 25%, as per suffer's report, right? That is one. Then vehicular pollution, again one of the problems. In fact, I also discussed that in a previous article on Mission Life, is excessive, or let's say overuse of private vehicles, right? A lot of private vehicles being used, lack of use of public transport, number one. Second, vehicular emissions क्यों ज़्यादा है? Again, although we are transitioning from BS4 to BS6, but still the number of vehicles plying on the road, वो भी बहुत ज़्यादा है. That's a very large number. If the number of vehicles plying on the road is huge, of course the emissions will also be huge. Vehicular emissions like nitrous oxide, okay, NOx, sulfur oxides, and again oxides of carbon, right? Or PM 2.5, PM 10, तो वो तो है ही. So vehicular emissions is also a big factor here. Construction activities, we see a lot of real estate sector construction will lead to a lot of dust, smoke, और construction के साथ again small PM 2.5 particles etc. This will always keep on going on, right? अब landfill fires भी हैं, okay? So there are some landfill areas जहाँ पे let's say you have let's say municipal जो भी है solid waste है, there is different kind of waste, and these are big dumping sites. The people who have been living in the NCR would have seen a lot of these landfill and big dumping sites wherein all the waste is there. And now when you burn the waste, अब waste में there is a lot of different components. Okay, so when you burn it off, it will release a lot of different gases also, right? तो landfill fires भी एक important let's say contributor है man-made. And one also factors which let's say you already have stubble burning, you have when you include all these parts, and then let's say if there is a lot of firecracker bursting in a small period or in a small portion, this also can contribute, okay, to the worsening air quality, okay. So these are the anthropogenic पे again when I'm saying the man-made causes, right? तो पहली बात तो these are let's say some of the problems which Delhi is directly facing, okay. So next when we go to is the natural causes. Sometimes what happens, we only focus on the man-made, but the influence of geography is also a very important factor that ये चीज इतनी ज्यादा पेस्टर क्यों करती है हमें, why does this become a huge problem? Okay, so natural में we will see. So number one is the geographical location of Delhi. And geography आपको अभी और जैसे for example when I tell you about low air inversion, less rainfall, dust particles, okay, wind conditions, तो ये और अच्छे से आपको समझ में आएगा कि पहली बात you know the location of Delhi surrounded by the different states and also sharing the international let's say boundaries with other countries. तो अभी होता क्या है, especially in this particular location, that sometimes there is a high pressure which is built in this, okay. दूसरी चीज क्या है, स्पेशली ड्यूरिंग द विंटर मंथ्स, एंड अगेन आई एम क्लबिंग दीज 2 पॉइंट्स. लो एयर इन्वर्जन क्या होता है, सी एयर इन्वर्जन हो गया है, ओके, विच मींस द कोल्ड एयर, okay, of course we know the cold air is heavier, okay, warm air is lighter. So during the winter months the cold air gets trapped, jo cold air which is close to the ground gets trapped in the layer of warm layer which is above it, okay. And because of this and also because of certain high pressure conditions, the movement cannot happen of this air. So jo bhi dust, PM 2.5, all these particles jo hain pollutants, they happen to stay for a longer period of time, okay. So this again directly coincides with low air inversion, number one. अब geographical location में और भी चीजें क्या हैं, the movement of winds, okay. तो इस time पे especially during the let's say time of winters, the wind movement is very slow. So even if we had smoke and other components, वो बहुत देर तक दिल्ली में linger करते रहते हैं, they'll stay for a long time, okay. But had it been other months, और months पे हमने देखा है, if the wind is moving faster, if there is more rainfall, so that will directly help, okay. तो wind conditions भी, if I talk about let's say that wind which are moving, तो वो क्या करेंगे, the winds will bring the dust etc particles from Punjab, from Haryana, which are the regions जहां stubble burning है, ठीक, plus this will become a zone of high pressure followed by लो एयर इन्वर्जन, ठीक है. ये तो ऑलरेडी हमारे पास प्रॉब्लम थी. उसके बाद व्हाट हैपेंस, अ लॉट ऑफ डस्ट, स्मोक एटसेट्रा फ्रॉम पाकिस्तान एंड अफगानिस्तान, ओके, थ्रू दीज नॉर्थ वेस्टर्ली विंड्स, इट ऑल्सो कम्स इन एंड ऑल्सो स्टेज इन दिस पर्टिकुलर पार्ट, ठीक है. तो जोग्राफिकली इफ यू सी हियर व्हाट इज एट प्ले, नंबर वन विंड कंडीशंस, ओके. सेकेंड द स्पीड ऑफ द विंड इज रिड्यूस्ड. Had this been faster, what would have happened कि जो भी इश्यूज थे पार्टिकल्स थे वो स्मोक वहां से उसको हटा देते, पर वैसा नहीं होता है, ठीक. देन you have the presence of Himalayas, and again what happens here, there is also a shifting of ITCZ towards the south, which means again in this area you will have reduced wind speeds और जो भी let's say issues हैं वो थोड़े ज़्यादा समय तक रहते हैं. Then there is less rainfall. Now how is rainfall a contributor? अब देखिए rainfall में when you can understand, if rain is consistently let's say falling down, तो जो भी a lot of pollutant particles they will be washed away. Okay, so the severity of the pollution will be very less. अब क्योंकि rainfall less है, again we know that what happens during winters in Delhi, plus reduced wind speed है, wind conditions है, तो यही है, you will have extended times of smog. Smog is what? Smoke plus fog. ठीक है, तो extended time पे ये for a long period of time you will face this problem. Okay, so smog becomes a problem. Less rainfall, low air inversion, presence of Himalayas. Again, presence of Himalayas में भी आप याद रखेंगे the shifting of ITCZ, okay, towards the south, which again complicates this whole problem set. ठीक है, तो अब देखिए again I know that in maybe in the exam you might not be able to write all these points. Why? Because the question can be major causes, okay, steps taken and what can be done, so you have to structure your points. But still if you are able to mention in every head, let's say natural में आपने 3-4 points बता दिए, anthropogenic में 3 से 4 points बता दिए, that is good enough. Okay, but still you should know in more detail that why is this a whole problem, both because of natural reasons and also because of anthropogenic reasons. ठीक है, तो ये एक चीज है जिसको आप ध्यान रखेंगे. इनफैक्ट इफ यू वांट यू कैन ऑल्सो मेंशन geographical लोकेशन में that Delhi is landlocked from all sides. Okay, again geography में we read about continentality and being landlocked. अगर if it was close to a water body तो वहां पे moderating effect भी होता. Okay, whereas if it is totally landlocked from all sides, the moderating effect of sea or the water body is not happening here. ठीक है, बाकी I think more these points right. And last point also is the dust particles from the northwesterly winds. Okay, so the dust particles from these winds also coming from Afghanistan, coming from Pakistan, also from the stubble regions, जहाँ पे stubble बनेंगे वहां से भी तो winds move करेंगी, वो यहाँ पे भी let's say they will bring this. Okay, so the combination of natural and anthropogenic factors increases it. And I can also talk about other miscellaneous factors. ठीक है, in many of the main articles you would have seen कि हम बात करते हैं lack of political will, ठीक है, less focus on public transport, but these points should come in the end. Okay, because mostly you are going to focus on this. Now when I say a lack of political will, again put your mind, why do I say this? क्योंकि year on year what is happening every year, and again imagine this is happening in the national capital. Okay, अब we make a lot of headlines because of it. There are a lot of solutions which are implemented, but many times these solutions are merely ad hoc in nature and not very long term. Okay, in fact it is also said that until and unless pollution and specifically air pollution becomes an election issue, no long term or permanent changes can happen, right? Because again a lot of governments etc or the parties will have their own pressing concerns, so sometimes environment takes a backseat, and it is only in these months we are reminded कि हाँ air quality भी जरूरी है, right? So again a lack of political will you can definitely mention. And then last is less focus on public transport. This also point we have discussed in mission life. अब देखिए पहली बात तो if the air quality is worse, okay, and again because of that people who go out, who work out in the park, again subah subah they are not, let's say, getting in good quality air, they're getting a polluted air which is more harmful in nature. One, less focus on public transport also means you will have more congestion in the roads. More congestion means people will get late to the office. One, the cars would be idle in many cases, वहां पे भी fuel का let's say wastage ज़्यादा होगा. Okay, so both of these, and again lastly तो है ही emissions तो हो ही रहा है ज़्यादा, right? So one is that if we are able to focus and improve, and again when you understand these problems तब आप solutions भी समझ पाओगे. Okay, that is why it is always important to understand the problems in more detail. Okay, so I think all these points which are mentioned here should hopefully be clear to you. Okay, so I think that is one thing that perhaps we'll understand now. Okay, now I have to tell that governments again and again they have taken a lot of steps, and again many of you would have been aware. Prelims में आप ऐसे बहुत measures पढ़ते हो, but let us quickly go through the measures which have been taken. Fine. अब measures में again very important thing is graded response action plan, which means depending on the severity of the pollution, we will have a particular response. So if the AQI is somewhere around 100 to 200, I will have milder steps. Okay, simple steps. But what if the AQI crosses 250? What if the AQI crosses 500? तो इसका simple मतलब है graded response. It means I will not have a one size fits all approach. Instead, what I'll do, I will have a graded response action plan. Right? Again, you would have seen कि when initially the let's say the pollution बहुत ज़्यादा बढ़ रहा था, तो लास्ट में odd even scheme हो गई, banning on all the construction activities, all these things, right? But that was dependent on the levels of pollution. So number one is graded response action plan, which is applicable in the region of NCR, right? Then there is the whole AQI. AQI again is the air quality index. अब AQI पे भी there is a, let's say a lot of इससे for example AQI here is developed by CPCB. So at a national level, when the AQI is computed, it again acts as both informative. For example, अब देखिए, we are discussing, and not just us, the media, different outlets, everybody is discussing quality based on the AQI. So AQI as a measure helps us quantify, and if you're able to quantify, then only we can go for a graded response action plan. So on that front, it is good that yes, there is a lot of monitoring which is happening in many cases at 24/7 levels. ठीक है? Then identification of pollution hotspots. That's say for example, in the entire region there will be some portions जहाँ पे pollution बहुत ज़्यादा है. Let's say if I talk of the Okhla, okay, Badarpur or different industrial areas, maybe because of more industries, because of more activities, there is more pollution. So identification of pollution hotspots becomes really crucial, so that the government can focus more efforts in that direction. So that also happens through your data, through different, let's say, monitoring points. Okay, now अब दो ये points है. This is specific to tackle the problem of stubble burning. According to the data by Suffer, what we had seen that stubble burning is contributing to 25%, okay, of Delhi's air pollution. So something which is contributing almost 1/4, 25%, okay. So in that case, how to deal with it? Okay. So there are two particular solutions. One is the distribution of happy seeders, okay. So again, these are, let's say, machine operated tractors which help to deal with the stubble which is left. Okay. So both we have seen in Punjab and Haryana, a lot of subsidies are related to the distribution of happy seeders. Again, इसमें भी बहुत ज़्यादा और काम की ज़रूरत है. But still, for basics, you should know that yes, there is a distribution of happy seeders going on. Number one, okay. Second is, now PUSA had developed this bio decomposer, okay. अब ये bio decomposer करता क्या है? You will spray this bio decomposer on the piece of land, okay. And slowly and steadily in some 1 or 2 weeks what will happen, जो stubble है वो पूरी तरह से decompose कर जाएगा, and it can also help in improving the yield. ठीक है, वो yield भी बढ़ा सकता है in future. So one, it improves the quality of the soil, and second, it helps you tackle a problem through a natural means, okay. और आपको क्या करना है? As a farmer, what you have to do? You have to just spray the biodecomposer, the different enzymes and the different components. They will act on the stubble, they will break it down. ठीक है, तो ये भी help करता है, right? So both happy seeders and biodecomposers, these are also specific measures for tackling stubble burning. Then again, the use of water sprinklers, again you would have seen, especially morning के समय पे, so that the dust settles down, dust बहुत ज़्यादा ना उड़े. Again, so water sprinklers are used in a lot of cases. Again, this is very much important to tackle the problem, because dust and smoke, all these components are very, let's say, they become difficult to handle. So water sprinklers are being used, okay. Now this is an important point, smog towers. Now smog towers were also useful. If I give you the case study or example of China, China was able to reduce, China में भी बहुत issues थे. When you have industrial development, when the economy is growing, you are bound to have emissions, okay. So they had installed a lot of smog towers throughout, and they were able to reduce the AQI, which was sometimes more than 200, 300, 400. And they were able to reduce that AQI to less than 100. Okay. In fact, in Delhi also, the smog towers had been installed, but again, this requires more investment. Okay. More investment both in terms of technology and money. Okay. So, and again, you have to, let's say, take care of the whole area of NCR. So we have to install more smog towers. But for starters, yes, we did have smog towers also. Okay. So again, the whole idea here is you will have big, large filters. Okay. Filters, and ultimately the whole idea is to purify. So you have fan, you have filters, so that you can purify the air. Okay. Then construction and demolition waste management rules. Okay, again we have seen कि construction जो है activity, that is a big contributor to this particular problem. So that is why construction and demolition waste management rules have come up, which also signify how is the waste to be managed. जो भी landfill sites है वहां पे आप waste को कैसे manage करोगे, how will you deal with the waste, how will you dispose it off. So that also has come up. Okay. Then if I talk about the peripheral means on the outside. Okay. तो अब क्या हो गया है, स्पेशली अगर हाईवे कंस्ट्रक्शन की बात करें, इफ आई टॉक अबाउट द ईस्टर्न ओके पेरिफेरल और जो पूरा हाईवेज है, इफ यू कनेक्टेड द हाईवेज, if there is a smooth movement of traffic, okay, which means there is better or lack of congestion, that will always help. तो peripheral वाले sites पे, especially during the peripheral part of NCR, the highway construction has helped. Okay, the vehicles will move smoothly, and that can also help you reduce the pollution. Ban on old vehicles, especially again इससे related एक prominent MC Mehta case भी रहा है. There has been a very prominent MC Mehta case, right? And ultimately the vehicles which are getting old, तो उसमें भी you know that the mandatory re-registration of the vehicles and the old vehicles have to be discarded. तो ये चीज हो रही है, ban on old fossil fuel vehicles. Okay, in fact that is why a lot of emphasis is also on the transition of BS4 to BS6. ये transition भी बहुत जरूरी हो रहा है. And again, not just that, FAME 2 scheme में we have seen the support to electric vehicles also, right? Not just that, the hydrogen powered vehicles, okay, are also gaining a lot of traction. CNG, bio CNG, HCNG. So if you think of vehicles, there is a lot of development which is happening. Okay, which again brings me to the BS6 norms. Okay, right? So again, on the outlines of Euro 6, we have the BS6 Bharat stage, let's say, emission standards. Again, herein also CPCB, Central Pollution Control Board, plays an important role. And here the whole idea is to reduce sulfur dioxide and NOx emission. Okay, you can use a DPF, a diesel particulate filters. Okay, and ultimately the whole idea, and again installation of catalytic converters. Idea ये है कि हम NOx और SOx emissions को considerably reduce करेंगे. Okay, through the use of BS6 norms. Also, we have seen a lot of ban on firecrackers, again in a specific, let's say, duration of time, although sometimes the ban is also flouted, but this is also one of the measures which the executive has taken, so you can also highlight that. Okay, now very recently, aapne agar abhi follow kari ho news, especially in the month of November, the Delhi government spoke about cloud seeding. We already know geographically there is less rainfall, so if you are even artificially able to induce more rainfall, wouldn't that be better? ठीक है, तो अगर आर्टिफिशियल लेवल पे इफ वी आर एबल टू इंड्यूस मोर रेनफॉल, ओके, थ्रू क्लाउड सीडिंग, दैट विल आल्सो हेल्प टू सेटल डाउन द डस्ट, ओके, वॉश डाउन द pollutants which are there. So cloud seeding can also help. Then anti-pollution campaigns, so that the people are aware at the behavioral level, that ultimately if we have to, let's say, think about, okay, तो यहाँ पे क्या हुआ, one of the campaigns I'll just highlight, red light, okay, red light on, gaadi off. Okay, again the people have this habit ki nahi, everybody thinks that abhi the red light which is there, you will have it off. Okay, but it can be 60 seconds, 90 seconds, also in some cases 2 minutes. If the vehicle is on, you are emitting more. So not only, and sometimes people think no, we can afford it, etc., but think about the environment also. So not only if you will be saving your own fuel, but you will also be polluting less. So this is one of the campaigns, red light on, gadi off, okay, which was carried out by the Delhi government. And in addition to it, there have been previously odd even schemes. There have been a lot of campaigns, etc., a lot of speeches by important environmentalist ministers, etc., to bring in more awareness. Okay, while I mention you all these points, I still say a lot is to be done again. Okay, and even on a war footing, क्योंकि this problem, despite these efforts, especially just a couple of months back, the AQI surpassed 400, which means we have to do something even more than what we are doing right now. Okay. Okay, so, and again, this brings me to a very, let's say, a topic which again which might be coming to your mind, that what are the challenges that despite a lot of interventions, they may be ad hoc, okay, that why is this still a problem, okay? Ab isme bhi one of the issues is, and again, we will see the more prominent issues here, okay? Ab dekho kya hota hai, we are generally talking of GRAP. GRAP is Graded Response Action Plan only during a certain time of the year, and especially during the winters, okay, and very close to the time of Diwali, okay. Second, and the bigger thing is that many of these pollutants are at alarming levels throughout the year, which means that if you only, let's say, implement GRAP during a certain small period of time, it is not going to be effective, number one. And second, some of the pollutants which अब आपको लग रहा है कि आपका AQI 200 है, again you are not that very active, 150 है, but still that is beyond the permissible limit. Okay, so a lot of experts highlight कि जो GRAP के आपके measures है, they have to be made more holistic in nature, and individually pollutants को you have to target them throughout the year. Okay, otherwise if you only focus on a couple of months, and that too not very holistically, this will remain a problem. Okay, again, economic cost. Why? Again, you have to install a lot of smog towers, requires a lot of money, investment. Okay, second, when you cut down on all this, let's say when you impose bans on construction, on real estate activities, on, let's say, the different plants, so अब आपने तो करा, तो why are you stopping it? Because you want to have better technology. Technology will means money. Let's say अगर जो thermal power plants है या industrial plants है, they have to install flue gas desulfurization. Okay, if they have to go for deep decarbonization, all of that requires money. Okay, and again they would sometimes hope that the government can give them incentives. Yes, the government is giving incentives for FAME too, but हर एक जगह तो अब अगर the industries have to transition, they would have to be given more time, and secondly they need money. अब हर एक चीज पे there is a component of money which is important, right? So maybe on that front we have to really pull up our efforts. तो economic challenges हैं, okay, and ये तो मैंने सिर्फ इंडस्ट्री की बात करी. Again think about farmers. Now there is a lot to be done. Number one, if I have to distribute, let's say, the happy seeder machines, abhi bhi the outreach is very limited. Same with Pusa biodecomposer, and same with educational and awareness campaigns. All of these things require money. Okay, so until unless your farmers are educated, until and unless the industries are also made aware and they also have the access to this technology, no major long-term solution can happen. Okay, तो ये भी एक चीज है ध्यान रखने वाली. Okay, and then there has been this year also a lot of violation of the cracker ban, which again led to a lot of, let's say, worsening air quality in the specific duration of time. Okay, तो ये तो जो कुछ issues हैं, and again you can also pinpoint, इससे पिछली साइड में जितने भी measures हैं, we can again pinpoint a lot of other, let's say, minor issues. For example, while you have construction and demolition waste rules, while you have solid waste management, plastic management rules, still a lot of these the rules are flouted. वो क्या हो गया? Which means the governance, which means you have the law, but the implementation of the law is weak. That needs more, let's say, more awareness, better vigilance, better monitoring, right? वो एक बड़ा challenge हो गया आपके पास, right? And again, you have to have long-term policies, and ultimately, how do you integrate the behavior of the individual in this? Okay, so you cannot just simply think only the government responsibility. Okay, now one by one. अब इसमें when I talk to you about the way forward, I'll also talk to you about, let's say, a lot of new things which can be done from a technological perspective also. Okay, So deployment of more smog towers. Again, we have seen this work in China, in New York, in other cases. It can also work, but we need more smog towers. Shift towards public transport. This is more or less explanatory to you. Okay, this will help in reducing the emissions, also reduce the consumption of fuel. Okay, electrification of vehicles, right? Yes, FAME 2 is happening, but still the cost of these vehicles is higher. The consumer would only shift when they feel that yes, they can afford it. Okay, so electrification will certainly help. Okay, then vertical gardens. अब देखिए यहाँ पे one of the issues in Delhi and the NCR region is lack or the congestion space. So conventionally speaking, जो हमारे normal gardens होते हैं, they will be distributed throughout land और या space में. अब in smaller, let's say, areas, you can go vertically. So if you create these vertical gardens, पहली बात तो they look wonderful aesthetically, again adds to the green cover, etc. So the vertical gardens will also help in this particular regard, right? So this will help. They will help when you have these gardens, and again they will help in purify and filter the air, absorb a lot of pollutants. So that will help. So aesthetically helps, but more importantly, environmentally भी help करता है. ठीक है? Use of happy seeders, you know that the government is already doing it, but more steps are needed in this particular regard. Okay. Commercialization of paddy straw. I told you कि अगर if we are able to somehow monetize the straw or the paddy, okay, so the farmer will be very much diligent in not burning it off. ठीक है? तो अगर हम इसको commercialize और अच्छे से कर पाते, for example, this can be used in feeding the let's say अपने whatever livestock के लिए, if they are able to feed it, then if it can also be used, for example, or a lot of research is being happening, if you are able to make biofuels out of it, ठीक है? तो अगर आप उसको commercialize कर पा रहे हो, if you are able to increase the income of farmers, you can also solve it because there has to be economic incentive. ठीक है? Then creation of carbon sinks. How? You can do more afforestation, okay, reforestation, okay, proper plantation drives can also be carried out. Why? Because see, ultimately the biggest sink of let's say carbon dioxide is forests. Okay, so again, while the forest is in some cases it is declining, if we are able to have more of these plantation drives, afforestation drives, this will help in creating a good carbon sink. Okay, and ultimately very important is to have a political will. And again, parties across all the political spectrums, they have to come together because this is a common problem. Okay, and awakened citizenry. The moment I talk about individual actions, you can again and again link it to, for example, mission life, that the aware or awakened citizenry can make this happen in a better manner, right? So these are a lot of, let's say, solutions which can happen, okay, to solve the worsening air quality and the air pollution in Delhi. So that is one. And again, I'll also share with you a couple of important best practices, okay? So for example, we can create the bioparks. Now this idea was mooted by the late MS Swaminathan. Okay. So if we are able to create these bioparks, okay, and again, you can use rice directly, you can use husk, okay. So this will definitely be helpful in management of straw, okay, in the paddy straw, number one. This can also help you in dealing with the pollution of stubble, etc. So this can be a good step, okay, rice bioparks creation. Anti-smog towers, okay, we have spoken about installation of these smog towers, and again this is being implemented in a lot of developed countries. Okay, you have ultimately, if you install big enough filters which purify the pollutants, okay, and proper fans installed in that, so that will definitely help. Okay, anti-smog towers. Okay, again IKEA, you have seen it has a lot of furniture, a lot of construction related, let's say, applications. It uses rice straw in all of its in multiple operations. IKEA. Okay, so if it is using rice straw, see, again the whole idea is if you are creating more and more uses of paddy or rice straw, so it will not be burnt, because for example, now IKEA is a big global player, right? If it is using rice straw in the making of furniture, it means it is getting that paddy or the rice straw from, let's say, the farmers. It is paying the farmers. The farmers also have an incentive to save it, okay, and properly not burn it off, but to manage it better. So ultimately, we have to have proper crop residue management techniques. If we are able to create proper crop residue management techniques, this will go a long way in solving this problem in long term, right? So in both way forward and in both the best practices, what we have tried to do is to give you a lot of points to think about. Okay, again, for example, in the current affairs, what can happen, that maybe some new microorganism, some new development has happened which can help to deal with the problem of air pollution. Be smart enough and add it to your notes. Okay, so with these host set of measures, way forward challenges and best practices, I hope you gain a very holistic clarity on this particular topic, right? So again, if you want to gain access to the notes, you can join Telegram Sunya Notes 50. Okay, I hope you can see that. Okay, and again, we'll be meeting you shortly with another mains article discussion wherein we discuss things comprehensively, all the aspects of mains. Okay, so I'll meet you shortly. Thank you.